And I think what we'll do, we will just move very quickly. You know, these are storytellers, because publicists really and media people are storytellers. So, mtu akishikilia ka microphone hivi, taanza kupeana salamu, kutuma salamu. Since the intro has already been done, what is a brand? You know, and my question is the industry brand conscious? Do people really know what a brand is? Because, okay, personally, if I can kick it off, I always see on Instagram or even on IG, you know, someone calling themselves Boni the brand, you know, and I'm like, it's like someone saying Coca-Cola the brand, like it's Coca-Cola. Because they have built a brand, they don't need to say Safaricom the brand or ONGEA Summit the brand. You get. So what is a brand and how conscious is the industry to what a brand is? I don't know. Tuanze wapi? Yeah. Rose, tuende kazi.
Rose Kwamboka is my name from Standard. A brand is what people say you are. What they see when they look at you, when they listen to your music, when they interact with your social media accounts, what they see, that is your brand. Your brand is not what you want your brand to be or what you say your brand is. It's not that. It is what the audience sees when they look at you.
Interesting. Anyiko, you've built brands, you know. How have you managed to take? I know one of the bands that people know most that you've built is Sauti Soul. How did you manage to pick them from being an unknown entity to being possibly one of the biggest brands in Eastern Central South Africa?
Hi guys, and thank you so much ONGEA Summit for having me for a second year on the industry panel. I would actually like to pick it up from where Rose left and agree and disagree with her. I think a brand is what people see out there, like what they read about, what they see on social media, what people are talking about, what they perceive of when they think of you or of something or a company. And I believe that a brand is also what you define it to be. It's very possible that because you don't define your brand, you will be defined by people from what they think you are. But it's also very possible for a brand to start building itself from scratch. Like for you to say, my name is this, and I want to be this type of business, or I want to be this type of artist, or I want to represent this type of genre. So regarding my story with Sauti Soul, I think that's exactly how it was. And I would not say I built their brand by myself, but we worked together in building that brand. And we created the narrative, we created the story, and we wanted to tell the story of each and everything we did. So even if we released a song, at the back of the room, we were all talking about how artists release songs. Many artists have a song out and they send to the media, here's my new song, bye, you know? Not every artist sends a song and says, the reason why I wrote this song is because of this. I want to tell my fans this and this. But when you give extra information for each and every single thing you do, you are building a brand. You know, next time you send a song even without explaining what it is, Grace is going to receive a song and imagine, from the past 5 releases they've sent me, I know this is a story that's continuing and this is how it goes. So I believe it's very important for a brand to define itself by defining its narrative, and it starts by knowing who you are and what you want to do. I hope I've not overtalked.
Spot on.
Hi guys. Hi. I know most of you here are musicians or you're in the entertainment industry. So for me, a brand is intention. What's your intention? What's your promise to your fans? What are you going to consistently give your fans that they'll know, that is Grace. That is classic Grace. So if you want to build a brand, be intentional. And by being intentional, that means you need to have a team. You need to be strategic. Before you even do anything, whatever you're putting out, communicate. So having a brand will separate you from being a star and from being a superstar. So look at all the mega superstars we know. Look at Diamond. Anytime he tweets, anytime he posts an Instagram post, he's not doing it because he's bored and he's at home. He's very intentional. Is it a Pepsi post? And he would say Pepsi or will do anything, just what he's posted. He's been paid to do that. Okay. The Tetema song came out. There was no press release saying, oh, my song is out. They just posted it on YouTube. And then intentionally, he's built an army around him. That's his brand. That's the Wasafi brand. So what each of them do, they post about the song. Before, in hours, the song was trending. So it's being intentional, promising your fans that they'll always know it's you, and being consistent about it. So that's what branding is all about.
Gloria?
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, for me, branding is all about who you are as a person, what you do, and what you stand for. Because I believe this thing can be a brand, but it depends with how you see it and how we've actually given it to you. So for me, I think it's consistently telling your story over and over again, but being, like Grace has said, being intentional with what you're doing.
Nkosi, before you answer, one of the things I'd really like you to bring out is the South African perspective, you know, because you've worked with artists in South Africa. Locally here, from even conversations with the PR professionals, artists are not brand sensitive. True. They don't know what a brand is. They're not sensitive to, because you have to be brand intentional. For example, the people who made this water, the Mayas, they didn't just put water. They were intentional about designing this design and putting the logo here, and I can assure you a lot of board meetings went into just designing the packaging of this thing. True. So how sensitive are South African artists to, are they brand sensitive?
Good afternoon, everybody. I think I would have to agree with all the other panelists about intention and when it comes to branding. And just to add on to that, I would also sort of like speak on identity. Having a narrative as a starting point and a reference point when you are sort of developing your brand. And some of the issues that are being discussed about, artists not being able to, understand what branding is and sort of moving like how brands should. It's a common thing, I think, in most regions in the world. And to be fair, all the issues are very similar. So a lot of sort of like the questions and the issues that you come across when it comes to branding, I think it's more on an education sort of front. A lot of sort of creatives, and not just the music, don't sort of understand the power of the name and the power of identity and the power of just, structuring yourself and sort of maneuvering in a particular industry. The creative and entertainment industries are they're an industry. Like there's the transport industry, there's the FMCG industry, and there's metrics, mechanics, structures in place in each industry, and brands interact within those sort of industries. And obviously there's markets and everything. So with that being said, I think, for me, branding is all about sort of developing an identity. And when you have an identity, it's easy for people to, connect with you. And you can build sort of like your own tribe, and those people become your ambassadors. You have your messages, you have your sort of values. And if you look at like branding on a sort of like on a practice sort of point of view, you understand that there's a tone. Brands have a tone in how they communicate. They have a voice, they have a purpose, they have values. You know what I mean? All the brands, Coca-Cola has its own values that when the brand was being developed or being improved, they said, okay, we want to communicate to the world in this way. We want to make people feel like this, you know what I mean? And because of that, it's easy for them to sort of like foster genuine connections with people. Yeah.
And then the other issue is, okay, there are those who actually appreciate the value of publicity, and they go out and get publicity. But a lot of people think, I need a scandal for me to hit, And I've been in meetings with corporates, and certain big names have come up. And let me tell you, they were struck off the list so fast. Because yes, they're popular, but popular for what? So, is there such a thing as bad publicity? Is there publicity that will make you really famous, but make you absolutely no money? Grace, tuanze na wewe. If you don't know Grace, she is the editor for Radio Africa and watu wa Mpasho. So, hao ndo wanajua maneno ya scandals.
There are two schools of thought. There are those who say any publicity is good publicity. And the reason why they say that is what that does is it enhances their brands. People who didn't know them eventually know them. But what happens to your brand is once you've become famous, how are you going to spin those numbers you've gotten for your infamy to push your brand and get money out of it? There's this lady, I think all of you have seen her, because I'm sure she gets forwarded a lot in WhatsApp groups. A chick who dances without panties. She's infamous, but that doesn't mean she doesn't get jobs. She still does. Because she realized, you know what, there's a market that likes seeing me do that. And she was getting bad publicity, but she spun that to give her financial gain. And then there's the other side of infamy that you never get back from. If, assuming you're accused of either rape or a crime, your career is over, because then you'll end up either in prison or just the society will shun you. So it all depends with how you spin the bad publicity you get.
The spinning. So Anyiko, I'm sure in your career you've handled a lot of, it's called crisis management, you know, and that is where you're taking a not so good, basically a scandal, you know, and like Grace is saying, how do you straddle that very thin line between infamy and popularity?
I think when you have a scandal or when you have a crisis, it's literally the PR person's worst nightmare. And it will happen when you don't expect it to happen. And I think a lot of people want to ignore it, and they take a long time. And you've seen even what happened when the NY Times posted the images of dead people from the Dusit attack, and when Kenyans told them immediately, the first response was almost kind of like a defense, like the editor was like, oh, it wasn't my fault, you know, and then in the morning they had to issue an apology, and she actually had to take down the tweets. So I think from my experience, I can only speak from my experience, the very first thing you need to do is to own the fault or the problem and take responsibility. And the next thing, you have to issue an apology. Because when you don't do that, things get out of spiral, and there's a time limit when people do not accept apologies. I think when it goes too long, like even 48 hours, they already feel like you took too long, and then you apologize and they still say, they don't take it, they still want another apology. So I think from my experience, you really have to know when it's a crisis and to explain immediately. And sometimes a crisis doesn't have to be someone did something wrong, but depending on your client, like you could even have a bus company or a travel airline, and the plane delays a whole 24 hours because there was snow somewhere, or there was an accident, a road accident, and some people saw the pictures and put it online, and people thought people died. You know, that's a crisis. You need to come out and say nobody died, or one person was hurt and they're in hospital, instead of waiting for people to come back and start to ask what happened. But I will also add on what Grace said. When it comes to celebrities, entertainment, music, there will always be those type of crises when, especially I feel this happens a lot to women in entertainment. When, I don't know, you've heard stories of, sex tapes, and I don't know, you're in the club and you expose, it's happened to even some of my clients, that a lady went to the club and she was taking images and videos with some guys, and she was, she kind of went out of control, and then these images circulate on social media, So, for instance, when that happened to one of my clients, I just told her, we have to ask your fans to report this content for it to be taken down because they are using your images without your consent. But then in the other case that Grace talked about, when everybody's talking about you or you're trending, I think it would be a great opportunity to use that for your benefit. You could be nominated for something. Ask people to vote for you. You could have a song that you were not planning to release it immediately.
Wow, what's the saying? Make hay while the sun shines. So, Nkosi, what's your experience in South Africa, and especially about sitting down and coming up with a media strategy that takes you? You spoke earlier about being intentional. How do you sit down and decide? Yes, I can get coverage. You know, if you have enough networks, it's easy to get coverage. But the question is, how do I get coverage that is actually building my brand?
So I think it all goes back to you knowing what you want, you know? And if you are working with an artist or a particular brand, it makes it easier to sort of develop strategies that are going to be brand aligned in how you sort of approach, you know, the whole coverage aspect of your strategy. I think knowing your positioning and knowing what you essentially want. So if you're releasing a song, you're releasing a video, we spoke about intention. Why am I doing this? Like, there's a sort of a whole thinking process of, it's mainly used in engineering, and I think you can sort of apply it anywhere. You know, like the 5 W's and 1 H. Like what, who, where, why, and when, you know, and how are you going to sort of like do it? So all of those sort of questions, like if I'm releasing a song, why am I releasing the song? You know, like where am I going to release it? Who do I need to sort of go and speak to? You know, who is my audience? What am I trying to say, and how am I going to do it? So if you have sort of like that clear picture and you're sort of plotting, it's like a graph, really. You know what I mean? You plot according to what you want to do, all your sort of like your cards, you put them on the table, you sort of develop a roadmap. Because I always sort of advise, like, especially the up-and-coming artists back home, is that like you have to sort of, number one, know why you are doing this. And then secondly is also making sure that you plan ahead. If you are going to release a song, especially if it's maybe part of an EP or LP or an album, what is the period? Like what is the period? Like, what are you trying to say? Build those relationships. Start contacting media way in advance. You know, give them exclusives. Build those relationships because they are important. And at the end of the day, every song and every sort of piece of content that you release will have some form of an impact on your brand. And if there's sort of like a crisis or something very spontaneous and unexpected that happens in your sort of your journey, like maybe a crisis or any drama, you know, having strategies and sort of an approach on how to sort of handle your own machine, because all artists are building machines that are going to sort of push messages and communication to people. You make people feel a certain way. So if there is any crisis, you would know because you understand where you are rooted. You know, so it's all about being rooted. And knowing that, it's easy for you to sort of develop roadmaps and start from the beginning. Plot, structure, know why you are doing what you are doing. And if, for instance, you're going to release a rock song, you're not going to send it to a hip-hop blog. You know what I mean? Like, you have to know, sort of segment your media list as well, you know, and understand that I have to have a particular approach as well. Like, my language has to sort of be structured in a certain way if I'm pitching sort of a song to a particular publication or a brand or whatever it is, or an advertiser, you know. Segment your lists. And also, you know, tone. Like, tone is very important, and the language, as I said, is very important in sort of like fostering those necessary conversations and connections with people. So I think really just focus on having a very grassroots approach and be very, very, very strategic. Like, the relationships that you foster in the industry, it's like an industry like no other. There's a supply chain, and you know what I mean? The raw materials are you as an artist going out there in studio, creating music, you know what I mean? There's a supply chain. And how does that sort of content that flows from one sort of party to another, you have to understand it, you know, and media and brands and all of these sort of aspects of it are very sort of important. Yeah.
Hand clap, please, for the one and only BN. Thank you for joining us. Now that you're here, actually, we can pick up on the issue of what I call client relation. Because there are two sides of this story. There's a story of the people who are providing the PR services, and then and then there's a perspective of the people who are receiving the PR services. What is your experience, and also not just yours, but also represent all the other artists? What is your experience in the quality of entertainment PR in the country?
Wow. First of all, thank you very much. I'm really sorry for being late. It's just, I have problems waking up on Sundays. You guys are talking about PR and musicians, yes, and the relationship. That was a space that didn't exist. So we had to make one for ourselves. And so if you look at Anyiko, where Sauti and Anyiko come from, and where Grace and Sauti come from, it's just everybody on this panel really. It's just a journey of correcting ourselves, finding ourselves. When we started working with Anyiko, Anyiko opened the first Sauti Sol Facebook group. Actually, I don't know if Sauti Sol is the first artist group to have formal in-house PR for an artist. I think it's one of the things we implemented really well. And so from the time Anyiko joined us when we were still in Campo, and we started doing the PR by ourselves, we didn't even know what we were doing. And now to see what Anyiko PR has branched out and grown to, and what Sauti Sol has become, it's evident that it's a service that's needed in the industry. And I just think the problem is that artists don't want to invest in it. Because 90% of the time I speak to artists, and artists will be like, they have a hot single out, they're really racking up comments on Instagram, and they think then that's enough PR, you know? But it goes beyond that. So what happens is those kinds of artists start to make money, but they invest all of their money in buying a car, buying a piece of land somewhere. They invest all their money everywhere except in their craft, and especially on PR. And PR it's a subtle cost that can't be ignored. You just have to invest in it consistently throughout your career, because the good PR you've had in the times when you are chart topping, that's what comes to rescue you later when you're not chart topping, but you're still doing cool shit. But maybe the industry has moved on a little bit from what you're doing, but the PR you did at the time is what's going to put you head and shoulders above everybody else.
Interesting. So it's a long-term investment.
It's a long-term investment. And you're never going to see the fruits immediately. Yeah. So you can't invest in, and PR also results are not tangible. So you can't say you can't start telling Anyiko, this year I spend 1 million on PR, na sijapata 1 million followers on Instagram, sijapata, because you can't really touch those things. It's just the benefits that come to bite you back in the ass, X amount of time from, forgive my language, guys. X amount of time from, when you invested. Yeah.
Interesting. And maybe because I asked a question earlier, and you can give me a chorus answer. Everybody grab your mics. He has said, do Kenyan, and this time let me ask the Kenyan practitioners, do Kenyan artists appreciate PR services?
No.
Answer?
No, they don't. Very few of them do respect us, but most of them dealing with them it's an uphill task. Let me give you a scenario. A couple of months ago, I was doing PR for a certain artist. They actually approached me, and he had a good song, and it was a collaboration. But what happened was the other person they did the collaboration with didn't like, I think, the posters. Whatever agreement they had, it's like they fell out before we started the media tour. So we go to a media house, and it happened this other artist is also here for a media tour. They decide to fight And this woman, the manager comes to me. I'm actually inside. I'm trying to talk to the director. Then someone comes and tells me, your artists are fighting outside. So I go outside and I'm like, okay, what happened? And she's like, you have to support me. She was almost suing me. So I told her, you know what? The deposit you paid, it's okay. The balance you have, don't pay me, and I don't think I want to work with you. Because at the end of the day, the media people are the people I rely on. So when you start messing them up, you're killing my business. So I think it's high time Kenyan artists learn and appreciate us, because we do a lot for you. And as an artist, if you don't invest in yourself, there's no way you're going to be like Sauti Sol. There's no way you're going to be like the Beyoncés and the Jay-Z's. You have to invest in yourself.
So I'm not a PR guy, but from a media perspective, you will know when an artist is being represented by a PR because their work is usually well done. And you'll know when someone is just, I don't know, trying to do something fishy. So most of the time, as an editor myself, I get thousands, and I'm sure Grace also, you get like millions of people pitching, and they want to get music, and they want to be reviewed, and they want interviews, all that, yeah? So what I will do, I have deadlines. I probably have 1,000 emails to go through. I have a day to go through them. So what I'll do, I'll just go find Anyiko. That's the email I'll read. And probably it has all the things I need. It has all the artwork. It has good photos. The story is well done. It has no errors. And there's a song and there's content. As opposed to if I go to a random person, say, Grace, you're an artist. You've sent me a song. I don't know where it's coming from. Kwanza, umenitumia audio. I'm a print person. What am I supposed to do with an audio?
Suskize wimbo. Nini entertainment. As you're writing, you're being entertained.
No.
Support Kenyan music.
No, you need, as Nkosi said, you need to segment your media people as well. Know who to send audios to, know who to send videos to, know who to send the print stuff to. I'm not about to start listening to your song and then start transcribing what you're saying into a story. As in, come on. And then you send me photos. They're probably selfies which has been badly taken. I can't use that on paper. I mean, come on. So I end up reusing probably something Sauti Sol have done, because Sauti Sol have good photos. They have, you understand? So the PR guys know what the media people know, what we want, and they can provide that seamlessly for us. And then watu tu wanaenda anaanza complain, oh, these media people, they don't like us. Sijui nini nini. They have been paid.
Actually, let's clear that out. Now, here, by the way, you're represented all the major media houses. I also write for Nation, in case you don't know. She writes for Standard and Radio Africa. Let me ask you, are you paid for articles?
How much would you pay for an article? Yeah. See, I have a salary. Tell me, how much would you pay me? Because surely you're paid a salary. You want to be paid by an artist who's starting up. Why? And if you ever pay for your stories to run, it's your own fault, because that means you don't believe in your craft. You don't believe in yourself. You don't believe that the song you're sending or the press release you're sending is worth it. That's why you have to pay someone. Don't ever pay. Take, even if it's 15 years, you'll make it, but don't ever pay. If you
15
pay...
years ni mingi, nimekwama. Hizi vitu mnasema make sense zingine.
Let me give you a tip. If you're starting out and you want to send your music to a media house, hauna pesa ya kulipa Anyiko or Clientele PR hapa, and all you have is internet. Maybe your dad has Wi-Fi in the house. That's all you have. Here is one tip. Which song are you releasing? Is it urban? Is it hip-hop? Is it reggae? Listen to your radios. Take a week. One day, listen to Kiss from beginning to end. The next day, get to radio from beginning to end. Write down the names of the presenters. Write down the kind of music they play from what time to what time. Listen to the names of the presenters, because the emails, you'll always get them. You'll get them even on if you Google the names. On social media, you'll get the names. Listen, do your research. Listen to homeboys from morning to evening, lala usiku, midnight. Write down all those names. Write down the genre of music. Then when your dad comes with the newspapers in the evening, read all the segments. Find out which segment suits your brand. Write down the names of the people who are writing those stories. Then once you've done that, then there's TV. Watch TV nowadays you can watch TV on YouTube. You don't have to buy Bamba TV, but buy Bamba TV. You don't have...
Marketing. Lazima use bwana.
Plugging, ndio niongezee mshahara. So watch everything. Then that's research for like 2 months. That's your own research. You've invested your time, your blood, your money in that research. Don't share it with anyone. That's your secret tool. Then what song are you releasing? If it's a reggae song, you already know it's Ghetto Radio. You know it's Mbusi and Lion on Radio Jambo. If it's urban, you know it's Kiss 100, it's East FM, if you're Indian. If it's rock, it's XFM. So you know that. Then this is what you do. Write to those people a nice email. Introduce yourself. Of course, they'll delete those emails because I want time. Then take yourself to the office. Go to the reception. Tell the receptionist, Neza ona Mbusi na Lion. See, they're human like you. What's the worst they can do? Beat you. See, they'll still talk to you. You've met them. That's it. You've met them. You've told them, you guy, may I have a song? It's very hot. And please, have a hot song. Usiwesti watu time. Have a hot song. Have a well put together song. And then, don't play it the first week. Next week again, go to the reception. Can I sing Mbusi and Lion? They'll come. Wait for them uko chini. Niaje manze. Song yangu. Make them know who you are. And then in like at least 3 months, song ita playiwa. And that's your effort. Because you don't have money for PR. But what you've done your own research. So that song won't be played. But what's the lesson from this? You know who your audience is. You know where your audiences can find your music. So it's all about taking the time, being intentional. Find out who are you, what do you stand for. How are you going to have a pitch, a 5-minute pitch for someone who doesn't have time for you? Because you're meeting someone for the first time. You won't start and saying, manzenyo ase I'm playing his songs zangu. First of all, you've put that guy on a defense mechanism. He'll be like, who are you? Which song? So what you do, go talk to them like they're the CEO and you already have a job in that company. Like, abari mkubwa, niko na song noma sana ndio hii. Even before he says, just give him. And then sema, so, sintakutafuta next week. Don't take a no. And don't give them a chance to say no. Because most of the people I've been writing about have been that brazen and very intentional and very forward. Until you're like, okay, nipetu, bring, I'll listen to it. Then when you've given them your music, ask for feedback. Feedback is very important. Because everyone believes the product they're putting out is dope. And when someone tells you it's not, unajam. It's fine, amekwambia it's not. Go listen to what they've told you. And then if you don't see that point, you'll be like, okay, only hater. Go to the next person, give them and get feedback. That's how you learn and you'll grow. And from those interactions, they'll know who you are.
Okay. Bien, you are protesting.
I'm just protesting because I've been there and I've done that. You know, in a point of my career, man, I walked to all stations. Anyiko knows these things. So it was just not being played. And so, then we had to write a song like Manilava. Because we were told, hii mziki yenyu mazee, iko too soft mazee. Hii Lazizi wasn't being played on radio. And so, we had to take the power in our own hands. And so what I would say to an artist of the now is that the power is in your hands because we're in a digital space right now. Nobody is stopping comedians from growing their numbers. Every day there's a new comedian who's popping. And they're killing it. Why not the same as musicians? When I meet younger musicians, 80% of the time, they want to complain about the system. But when I look at their Instagrams, when I look at their social media platforms, I don't see a single video of you even singing with a guitar live for your fans. So there's just basic things that we need to workshop as an industry about the digital space that will give artists independence so that we don't necessarily have to depend on traditional media. Because traditional media follows what's happening in the digital space. So if you guys are seeing a great example is taka 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 mapepo. And hiyo ngoma mimi nilijua kwa Instagram. And so when I got the song on Instagram, I was like, who is this guy? I followed the guy. Now that I didn't have to hear that guy on Kiss. I didn't have to hear that guy on any other station. The power is in our hands now. We need to stop the blame game. Because I've been given so many no's in my life. I'm still getting no's now. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, we just need to start driving the bus. Start driving the bus. We can't
keep pushing.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can't have the blame game.
And I think just to sort of like add on that, like the internet has allowed us to have like a very sort of like low, entry. Like the barriers of entry have significantly sort of like decreased.
Basically,
you know what I mean? So it's all about sort of like building your own leverage and understanding the power of social media, the power of having like a very simple but well put together like websites. You can use free platforms. There's like a lot of like free platforms. Like it's all about, understanding how you can sort of like, extend your reach using the tools that you already have. There's SoundCloud, there's download platforms, there's Facebook pages, there's all of these tools that you can use as it's being said right now. Instagram, a lot of artists now, there's SoundCloud rappers, there's YouTube artists that are blowing up on these platforms. So we can't really sleep on the power of all these tools because they're tools, You having a Facebook or a Twitter profile is not just that. You can use it. You are talking to real people that have time, to listen to what you're saying. So use those platforms, and just like, start setting structures in place and understand how they could help you further your messages and your content, and just use it to connect to people. That's the main reason why a lot of these things are built. It's easier now. You can foster relationships with people from other countries. I don't know how many people and how many connections I've made just by, making sure that I have a very dope email etiquette, approach, DMing people, cold email people, but obviously do it in a very respectful way, because people, as it's being said, like some people don't have time, but I think use all of the platforms that are available to you because they're there for that. That's where you can spread your messages. That's how you can build your own tribe, your own community. It's all about building communities. And a lot of these platforms are user-generated content platforms. So anybody can be on them, build like a following, and then you just feed them content. Be real as well, and because that's what people want. People want different types of content, especially with artists. Like, they want to know what you eat. You're walking your dog. They want to see those real moments because that's what, like, social media has allowed us to do. It has allowed us to sort of, kill the sort of like the higher, exactly, you know what I mean? And now people can get to know you, and that's where you can build those genuine connections.
Excellent. Now, on to a very thorny issue. Thorny. Media relations. The kizungungumu inaitwa media relations. Now, the journalists who are here, how many of you have had to cancel an interview because the artist refused to show up?
All the time.
Raise of hands.
All the time.
Okay. How many of you have tried to reach an artist and you really want to give them publicity, but they are not available? Okay.
Tunaonewa hapa juu.
All the time.
Woo, don't worry, I'll give you time. Unajua kwanza yeye yuko peke yake. How many? Five against one. Wacha tuanze na wewe.
Artists, how many times have you gone for an interview with a journalist who has not researched?
Okay, I agree.
Uliza maswali yako. No, uliza. Okay. Uliza maswali yako.
Artists, how many times have you opened The Nation, The Star, and any other publication, and just seen a shit story written about Kenyan, like, music and artistry? In fact, for the longest time, The Nation has systemically written stupid stories about Kenyan art and Kenyan music for a long time. I mean, I'm talking like Diamond Platinum's paid 7 million for Stew what. And then on the next one, you see Sauti Soul stranded in Kakamega. I have read The Nation for years, and we have an artist group, and I'm always saying, like, why is it that even the headlines are sensational? Look at the headline for this conversation we're having right now. What is making Kenyan artists miss big money? That's a sensational heading. You know what I'm saying? So I think we all have our issues. And I'm not here to point fingers.
That's why it's called ONGEA. That's why this place is called ONGEA. In fact, that is the article. That was my article that actually
sparked.
That was
your article?
Yes, it was my article.
I was so pissed at you that day if I found you.
That was my article. And that's why I'm here to respond. And that's why it's called ONGEA, by the way, because you're here to talk. Sawa sawa? So there's two sides. And by the way, that's why, in fact, I kept off that topic until BN walked in. Because that is a topic that there's two sides. There's one thing I've always believed. A story is like a coin. There's two sides to it. Okay? So if you look at one side and not the other, you'll miss out the whole point. So that's why I want us to look at Sisi Wote, so that at least from here, we go forward to Kiskizana. Sindio? So on your end, on one side, now today I'll be a moderator as much as I'm on one side or the other, but I'll try to be, I'll be, katikati. I'm the judge of them. So, nyinyi watu wa media, why do you have sensational? And let me tell you, like that headline, I'll give you, I don't know how much of it I can reveal, but that was, I'm not the one who chose, I'm a writer.
No, yes. It's your editor.
It's my editor, yeah. Right? It's my editor who chose that sensational, exciting, whatever, headline, whatever you want to call it. Some people call it exciting, some people want sensational.
Let me explain how the newsroom works.
Yes.
When a reporter comes and writes a story, ataandika story, andike, alafu editor muite, come here. What's your story about? Ati, BN did not show up for the ONGEA festival. Okay. Atasema, so where is the story there?
So what?
So, unapigia BN. Utapata BN ako stuck in Kakamega. So the biggest story here is BN stuck in Kakamega. Why? Alishikwa kwa hoteli, hakulipa. So, BN, this is a cause and effect. A reporter came to ONGEA, hakupata BN. What was the story? You're in Kakamega. You missed your flight because...
Maze, lakini, can I ask you a question, Grace? I want us to be very, very objective. You just don't feel like as media practitioners, that for the longest time, the biggest stories about Kenyan music have not been success stories in the newspaper? Like I've watched The Nation do that since I was in high school. Like I've seen it happen. Like all the stories that were music related for the longest time were just not success stories.
I beg to differ because...
And what happens, we dwell on a lot of stuff that's just crass, wrong. We dwell on the bad fruits when we're representing the Kenyan music industry. And then when someone else in another industry, when Casper Nyovest fills up a dome, we are with Casper when he fills up a dome.
I beg to differ because when you launched Live and Die in Africa, you got such beautiful press. Did you not? Yes. Yes, but still you got, because we appreciated that Sauti Sol is doing something different, agreed, beautiful, and everyone was on board. Everyone gave you beautiful publicity. Did you not get that? We appreciate good.
Can I come in? Moderator, can I come in? Okay. Moderator.
Yes.
I feel like I haven't spoken in a long time, and I remember what I wanted to say from the last point, and then we moved to another point. So the first question you had asked was, do the artists or do the clients appreciate the PR?
Yeah.
I would be lying to say they don't appreciate, because it is because Sauti Sol appreciated me and the PR I did. That's the reason why I'm here. That's the reason why I started a company. If they didn't believe in what we were trying to do together, I would never be running this company. I'm a journalist by profession. I would still be working at KBC or back at BBC or DSTV. But now I quit all my journalistic work to do PR because of the investment that they put in PR in me and the dream, right? So I will say that...
Makofi kwao.
However, I will say that there are a lot of Kenyan artists who, I would not say they don't appreciate us or don't appreciate PR, but I would say they do not know the power of PR and the power of social media and marketing. If you look at Sauti Sol's biggest moments, they came from social media. You know, Dancing with Obama. But what you people don't know is before they danced with Obama and we did the posting, we sat down and planned that this is going to happen and we're going to post this exactly this way.
Wow.
When
So
we
it was
walked,
intentional?
Yes. When we walked into State
come
House,
back, State
no,
Two, okay.
it was intentional. When we walked into State House, I had the caption ready. Like, this has happened before it happened. So by the time they danced, it was just pressing send, go. And the thing went viral from Sauti Sol's page. When they went to sing the Kuliko Jana thing at, I don't know, their former high school, the thing was posted on social media ASAP. I wasn't there, but I called their PA in the morning because they went like at 5 or 6 a.m. and they said, make sure you take the video, make sure you post it up ASAP. That's the most viral thing Sauti Sol has ever done. Nothing even to do with YouTube. It was those two things, the Obama dance, this thing. It's like every artist was posting, like every international artist was posting that they saw them sing, you know. So what I want to say today is don't take for granted PR. Don't take for granted your social media. Just that moment of you rehearsing and you posting could make somebody see something somewhere, and maybe you're hustling and you're like, I don't have money to shoot my videos. Someone might see and be like, okay, come, I want to invest in you. So I think when I think of the other artists from other countries, I think Kenyan artists, they disregard those two things. And you should not disregard. And then when it comes to this issue of the media, what we're talking about right now, media relations, I think there's a cultural problem that we have in Kenya that we don't take artists and arts and culture seriously. That's why your editor is going to do that. And that's why it's going to take me to hustle, call people, write this extraordinary stuff for people to even see Sauti Sol, right? There's so many dope artists in this country who are not getting those stories. That is the truth. And I appreciate each and every person sitting here in the media fraternity because I work with you guys and you guys support. I've never sent you guys anything and you did not do a story. But I'm worried because if Anyiko doesn't send something, what's going to happen to the rest of the artists? I think it's also the duty of the journalists, especially the ones who are cultural journalists, to find these things. And I know you're finding them even on social media, but how many are? So I think we have to say the truth that there is a problem with the media fraternity in this country in the sense that they don't support the artists. Even this Play Kenyan Music, some people are saying, me I do. What about the rest? NRG had 24 hours of playing Kenyan music. What did all the other stations do? I want to know what they did.
I want to differ with her because you've been in the newsroom, you're lying. Let me tell you, don't be lied to by Anyiko. As journalists, she was also in the media house before she went and did PR. You're in the media, you're in the newsroom, she's in the newsroom. We are dealing with old school editors who don't understand who Sauti Sol is. So, for them, they're thinking to write headlines like politician, like a political story. Am I lying?
It's true.
So for them, they're thinking, okay, this guy in the civil servant office, who will read the newspaper? What will they read more? This headline or this headline? So all the time, as much as, yes, you're saying, oh, media, you're not supporting, we also have our own mini fights in the newsroom where you're trying to tell this old guy, listen, that's not how you can write this headline. But he's like, okay, this is what is happening. How else can we write it? You know, for them, it's black and white. It's either this or this. And this means it's on this already, this other side where already the artist will be like, nye ampendi to support. But we also have our own fights, our own internal fights. And when you see that a newspaper has a pullout for entertainment, that already, there's a market for that. And that pullout is there because there already is a market. So why would we want to kill the entertainment industry? Nani atatuandika job na kijui kurap?
Because news is when a man bites a dog.
Yes.
Listen, man, I've also studied like journalism. In
fact, actually a journalist.
If I wasn't a musician, I would be a print journalist.
Yes.
So I understand the politics of the newsroom. Yes. I understand all those things. But you see, I just want to say what Anyiko said. We have a cultural problem, guys. That's where it's all coming from.
And here's the thing,
have
that
a deep
culture will
cultural
not
problem.
change unless we are both intentional. Like I said, we also fight for our own battles in the newsroom. That is us being intentional, because we are saying, if we kill the industry, what are you going to write about? Me, I don't know sports. I don't.
Okay.
And then also you also realize that bad news sells more than good news. So if we have the option of giving Bien was caught in Kakamega over he released a song, we'll definitely go with Bien was stranded in Kakamega.
But
So there's that too.
So can I ask you a question?
Ask.
You know, I feel like what we are doing right now as young people, the impacts are going to be, we're not even going to feel the impact. Our kids are going to feel the impact.
Very true.
So you have a social responsibility to prime art in what you do. And in all the headlines you could choose, if you choose, because the audience is transic. That's what we learn in media school. The audience is transic. And the media sets the agenda. Even in the Play Kenya Music conversation, I still, a media station as big as KISS, I can see an opinion leader saying, Play Kenya Music ngoa on video. Like, these are things that I've seen. You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure out as a musician who is trying to leave a legacy. And you, as media practitioners, who when we are in our 60s will say, Maze, time yetu tulitesa hivi. Because me, I've been to Tanzania, I've been to Nigeria, I've been to all these markets that are thriving. Those guys write good stuff about their artists. When somebody fucks up, of course, man, let's decay the hell out of that person. But can I be honest? Also, there are many
TZ
good things.
has
There are
like
very many
10
good
tabloids.
things.
No, TZ has 10 tabloids.
And they don't all write crap.
They all write, nitakutumia link. They all write crap. 10 tabloids, 10. Print, not online,
Okay,
10.
Kerongo,
I'll
let me
send
say
you a
something.
link, all of you.
Let me
Okay.
say something.
Okay, guys. Okay, I feel like I'm being objective, so I'm going to stop.
No.
Let
By
me
the
say
way,
something. Let me
and
say
that's why I'm
something.
giving you a lot of airtime, because you're
Moderator,
representing
let me
one
say
side.
something.
And that's why your perspective, by the way, is very, very important. And that's why we are here to have that conversation.
So let me say something.
please don't hold back.
Let's not look at the crap on some other media and try to look at our crap and compare and contrast, right? Let me finish. And I also want to conclude on what we were discussing before, because you said I lied. I did not lie. I'm a journalist myself. I worked at the BBC. I worked at KBC for 7 years. I was the first person. I was the first person to ever interview Calligraph on TV. Why? I'll explain why. Okay, clap. You can clap.
Clap. Round of applause.
But I have experienced those challenges with my editors and my producers, because at that point, he didn't have any music video. And I knew him because he was calling me. I was seeing him when I go to WAPI and stuff, and he was like, you have to interview me. And my producer told me, you cannot interview someone who doesn't have a video. It's a policy of the TV station. If you interview him for 15 minutes or for 10 minutes, what are we going to put as the cutaways? I went out of my way to call him and find out, where are you going to battle over the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks? We went and shot those videos, and I came back to my producer and said, we have all these cutaways, now let's do the interview. And when we did the interview, like, this is my first interview. I was like, what do you mean? Because from the way Calligraph sounds, you know, the way he talks, I used to think like, oh, he's all over radio and he's a superstar. I did not even believe that that was his first TV interview. So what I'm saying is, I'm not blaming you, and I'm not blaming, actually I'm blaming your editor, and I'm blaming the media owners. They are the ones who really need to shape up and to change. Because I do understand, and even you have your role to play, and I know you're playing your role, so I don't want anybody to feel on this panel that I'm pointing at you or I'm saying you're not doing your job. What I'm saying is, we need more of this to be done. We need more platforms, and we need you guys to stand up to your editors and say, no. And I've written even for Nation. I've been contributing for Nation, and I wrote one article once about the Kenya National Theatre when they had stopped the plays there because they were undergoing a renovation. And I interviewed people there and artists, and they said the government is taking too long, and now we have to go to another place to rehearse, and it's costing us so much. When I sent the story to my editor, all that was cut out. You know, the place where the person was saying the government should look into this, it was cut out of my story. So I think we also need to know that depending on which media, there's so much you can do. But I'm saying, like, even radio presenters, they put in songs, and they are claiming on social media, I don't put the songs, it's my producer. They do. I go to radio stations and I tell them, play this music, put this, and they do.
So, and when they put it on radio,
Grace,
how
let's
long
pick
does
one, then
the
we'll go to
rotation go for? Because they can put it, because yes, the guest
Yes.
is coming, but does it go on
as long as they
rotation
can
like?
put it, I'm fine. But don't lie to Kenyans and
But
say
does
you can't put in the
Does
music.
it go on rotation? It doesn't. Because
Well,
there's
that
someone else who
depends.
schedules.
How it
any-
goes on rotation is dependable.
It depends
on
On
demand,
the fans also.
On demand, on the fans.
Yes,
It's
on
not
the
a
fans'
person.
demand, not on a person.
Yeah, just
so
a
you
minute,
can't
let-
say the
let me
presenter
get-
refused to wait.
Okay.
And then the way you fought for Calligraph's interview. That's what I'm talking about. You fight for your story. You tell the editor, no, this is what I want and this is what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. In the newsroom, you also fight for your stories. So when you go on Twitter and then you find an artist who you've interviewed, they're writing there and saying, to our media. And then you're like, but I was fighting for you yesterday for my story to run. So we also feel like the artists are...
But if you know you're doing your job, that's not you. You
yes,
know, it's not you.
but you're in that fraternity.
No, don't
And
fret.
you're not-
I'm also in that fraternity, and I don't fret because I know it's not
Grace,
me.
Grace, when people
Yeah.
say Kenyan musicians are crap, I don't feel anything wherever I am. I just keep to God.
You don't, and you're there on Twitter.
Listen,
Which Kenya
because, no,
artist?
seriously, because have you ever seen me like in such forums, when you say Kenyan music ain't shit, the only thing I do is I actually retweet that, because I think that's a lot of bullshit. If you know you are good, if you know you're somebody who is like sticking to your craft, if you know you're somebody who's doing the right thing, why? I think all this stuff that arises with the Play Kenya Music KE, and then a presenter comes up and says something like, oh, you know, you guys have been lying to people, or you guys have been doing this. These are people who are feeling guilty for things that they have been doing wrong over the years. So if for the last 3 years, all you've been playing us in your shows is bongo flavor, and then feeding us with mass like pictures of you and foreign artists on your media, hell yeah, you should feel guilty when the Play Kenya Music KE's convention is going on.
Now, just
I
1 minute.
understand.
1 minute, guys.
Thank you.
1 minute, Grace, before we go in, because I want us to get a South African perspective on this so that we understand. Is this a Kenyan problem, or do you guys face the same thing?
Guys
in
have
South Africa?
policy.
I mean, we also struggle with the same sort of issues, but yes, there are policies in place that sort of help, you know, artists and like, you know, kill sort of bad representation, but it does happen where bad news and drama and, you know, sensationalism takes the fall, you know what I mean? So we also have like the same issues, you know, like these conversations are very important, and we also have the same sort of issues. But I think everybody should like take like responsibility, you know, like I mean, I think you did mention that you are fighting these battles internally. I think the issue here is that the artists don't see that, you know what I mean? And that's where the responsibility needs to sort of like show, you know. And I think we are all in this industry together, so we have to hear each other, and we have to obviously have like the trade-offs and have the differences here and there, because as I said earlier, like we are all in the industry, there's markets in the industry, and there's a supply chain, you know. I think the whole sort of idea that like sensationalism sells and bad press sells and stuff like that, I think it's something, we can't use that as an excuse, you know. And we have to sort of make sure that the good stories, and listen to the artists as well, because yes, there are agendas, yes, there are all these, you know, ulterior motives that we need to push the negativity and all of that stuff. But I think if we all sit down, this is very important that we sit down and we share. Because in South Africa, you do get a lot of stuff. Like you find reporters writing bad stuff about Casper, about AKA, you know, like they also do focus on that, because they still have the thinking that, okay, this, because it'll get me clicks, like, you know, there's clickbait, there's, you know, they're trying to sell papers, you know. So I think it's also like a business model thing, like, because I need to, you know, meet my objective of selling, I don't know, 1 million copies of my newspaper, let's just have this bad sort of like representation of an artist. And it's from my view, it's we have to have a very fair trade-off and have these discussions, because we also have like the same, you can go to any country, I think, the issues are still there.
So I guess we are facing
But I
global
think
issues, yes?
what SA has that we don't have and that we need to work on is policy.
Yeah, true.
All of these conversations of play Kenyan music, all of these conversations of the media is not playing us, like the artists are not doing this, can all be solved by policy. I think policy is the best and safest way to ensure that generations of Kenyan musicians will have, like a proper career. And if you look at now, the Copyright Act was last reviewed in 2001. Last I checked, when was the last time a media house, a media practitioner paid royalties to a musician? Very few do pay.
Whoa.
If you want to talk about that, the nation.
That's another discussion.
So there's just things like those that are systemically happening that are making Kenyan artists not make big money, and they're all policy issues.
Now let me agree with you, and now this is where the middle, and I'll give my own personal experience. I've been in the newsroom right now for 6 years. So, and one of the reasons why I got into PR is I got frustrated seeing the stories that should be on the paper not being on the paper. And I understood all those issues you're talking about, those battles that are being fought inside. Unfortunately, the artist who's outside there cannot see those battles. All they see is the output. So one of the reasons why I got into PR is let me get a few, and of course, unfortunately, I can't have everyone, and I can't service everybody. But this year, I'm actually going out and just giving some people some pro bono work, so that I can be your Anyiko. You get? So at the end of the day, here's the unfortunate reality. After 6 years in the newsroom, I can assure you, those battles will continue. But the issue is, how can we create, and that's why I was talking about media relations. Okay, because here's the thing, that Grace who's in there, that Rose who's in there, that Bonnie who's in there, is actually your fan. You get? There's one of the bosses that I worked for, I won't tell you who, but he's a big Masika fan, huge. You get? And he's a major media practitioner. You get? So these people who are in there are your fans. So if we can just find a way to find out, yes, the media is the way it is, and we probably won't change it. But how can we create those relationships and have that person who's in there and identify this person who's in there who's fighting for you? You get? And maybe all of you may not be able to afford our services here, but how can you create that efficiency? You get? How can you talk to that friend of yours who's doing PR, or that guy who's a student of communication? How can you talk to them and then you get them, just like the way you guys did? You get? You literally build each other. And today you've built two very strong companies that are making a big impact in the industry just by working together. And I'm sure it's not like they were paying you at the beginning. You get?
The reason why she left is because you couldn't afford her.
You grew, and that's good. Like you grew each other. You get? And you created space. So for me, the way I look at it is entertainment PR is a service that is required. You get? And for those who can afford it, and I know every time when I speak about this in these groups, I'm told, Boni, you're just marketing yourself. Yes, Mawaitha PR, we do very good PR. Sawa. Anyiko PR, they also do very excellent PR. Client PR, they do very excellent PR. You get? And also Grace has a PR. She's closing. Okay, but basically, please, there are people in there who actually want to make a change. And for me, as much as, in fact, nowadays, because I write more as kusaidia jamii, I try as much as I can. And even that article, if you read that article, the body
wasn't bad. It's the headline that was sensational.
Now, that's what I'm telling you. And now.
Also,
Tupatane katikati.
Yeah, I mean, I can meet you halfway.
Yeah, meet me halfway.
But also, in the body, it dwelled a lot. Your editor, after editing the entire thing, it dwelled a lot on the negative. And I'm just trying to say that, of course, it is important also to know that artists are not going for interviews, because we don't all have the same work ethic.
Yes. Very important point.
I take the bullet for that.
Yes.
But at the same time, why not focus on the ones who actually want the interviews? There's a lot of kids out here who are doing amazing things. And I feel like for every 10 bad stories you write 3 good ones, for a start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wapi makofi yake? So like I started this conversation, I was saying there are two sides of this thing. So I think what we need to go forward is, what does the artist need to do? what does the media need to do? What does the PR practitioners need to do? You get? And if I was to summarize this, and if I, because of time, let me just summarize this. And if I get something wrong, we can move. Those who can afford the PR services, please hire these people. Sawa. They'll make a difference.
Even if you can't afford,
and if you
see,
can't,
the thing is, even if you can't afford PR services, you guys, if you go online right now and just check, there's so much, there's a wealth of information that's on there. These Lambalolo kids are not becoming superstars because they have Anyiko. No, but now on Coke Studio, Anyiko has to work with their staff.
Exactly.
Stuff that people said in the beginning, I'm sure somewhere when you watched Lambalolo in the beginning, ulikuwa zile za this song maze ini nini achiki watu wanatoa kwa mtaa, lakini kisema tu that's the reality of the hood. And if you're yourself and you use the tools around you properly, I think you have a chance at it.
There you go.
Yeah, what I can say is as Clientele PR, we started a program, sort of a program. Every Tuesday we do something called musical segments. So what we do is we get new music that has been released throughout the week, and then we post it on our social media platforms. But at the same time, you find I put out a poster and requested for the upcoming artists to send me their songs. But if no one sent, actually it was only one person who sent, and the rest, I was like, okay, but I'm not relenting. I'm still insisting we do pro bono services, but you also have to show me the effort. It's not only coming from my side, but it also has to come from your side. And number two, you also need to invest in photos. Sometimes an artist comes to you, they want PR. Number one, they don't have a photo. They don't have a bio. And then, fine, it's good to bargain. But if you want to bargain, if I tell you this is what I can give you, let's meet in the middle. If I tell you, Provoke does posters. So when you're releasing your song, do what? Holler at him. He'll do for you a poster, and I'll help you push that poster. As much as I don't have that much followers, but I get traffic on my page. So it's up to you to show me the effort. So when I say, send me your music, just send me your music and your poster, and I'll gladly share it. You never know who's watching.
So we need to go to our last segment before we go to Q&A, which is a quick thing. Here is talking about brand equity and ROI. I had a conversation just this week, and I can't mention names, but I was looking for a deal for 4 of the top artists in Kenya. And I was talking to a client, and we went through it, and they were like, hey, Boni, no. You know, now this is where we connect the publicity and the money. Okay. And there are several issues. I mean, I've done those stories where I've talked to the brand managers, and there are many brand managers out there who are saying, no, I cannot. Not everyone. They always those top 4. Of course, we have to also remember that most of the endorsement always goes to the top 4 or 5 artists. So there's that in mind. But also there is a huge, and unfortunately we don't have anyone from corporate Kenya to really represent that element. But I've heard that a lot from corporate Kenya saying we are not getting proper ROI from artists. Okay? And other segments, yes, but artists. This year, at least, last year, we had an improvement, let me also say. We had some big announcements. We had King Kaka getting a good endorsement, and we've had several other really good endorsements. You guys have had Chrome for a while. So there are success stories. But the general feel within the boardrooms is that artists, and that's why now I'm talking about the big, and now I want us to connect. How is the publicity and the brand building affecting now the big money?
Today morning, I was talking to a friend of mine who is a communication stroke. She's a mdosi in a phone company. And she was saying she was looking for social media influencers in the music field. And she got some, but the 2 she got did not understand what social media influencing is and what the brand, how to market the brand. So they're given, and they're being paid good money, but here's the thing. They didn't understand what it means, them being a brand, and the brand that is paying them being a brand means. So you end up seeing the artist tweet about their song and then hashtag the brand. So that doesn't sell what the brand wants. Yes, you'll get many retweets, but that tweet doesn't do anything for the brand. So
they spend money, but
they're not getting the
the
value
benefits.
for that. So what that means, next time the brand has another campaign, they'll go for the other social media influencers and not go for the music influencers who already have the numbers, they have the influence. And that's because there's a disconnect where now there's this new market coming up and there's no one who knows how to regulate
manage it.
Yes, there's need for creativity in that. How are you going to market the brand, if you've been given the contract? And so as much as, yes, you're getting publicity, what are you doing with that market or that amount of followers you've gotten? How are you converting that to sales?
So converting from publicity to money, to cash
to money now for the client who's given you, say, 1 million to push this water. So how are you doing it? So there's that disconnect. And I think wale wenye wako hapa na hamna ideas, that's an idea you can start finding a way to get into that market.
Okay. Anyiko, just very quickly, because we have just a few minutes before we go to the Q&A session.
I think it's very possible that corporates that are approaching artists in this country and artists who are being approached by the corporates don't see where they come in together apart from the brand, the name, and the money. So what I mean is, if I'm an artist and I'm called by any corporate and they're like, we want you to be their brand ambassador, I'm giving you this amount of money, I'm not going to say no. I mean, there are some artists who are going to say, no, this doesn't fit my brand. But from where I sit, I would say yes, and then I will figure out how to fit my brand. So, and the corporates, they might be going for some artists because they're saying, oh, this is a big artist, they have this number of followers. So I think it's a new frontier. Actually, it's not a new frontier, but it's a frontier that needs to be, the Grace says that there's a lot of work to be done in this frontier. There's an opportunity for business managers, brand managers to represent artists, or even in the corporates to be the ones to be the go-between between the corporate and the artists.
Exactly.
Because I think they pick the right artists, they pick the artists who have the following, and they pay them the money they should pay them, or maybe not. And then it sort of ends there, you know. Then they feel like, okay, this artist is not even appreciating. They only put a hashtag. But sometimes, maybe they're not working in collaboration with them.
And they don't have an understanding of that disconnect between the boardroom and the industry.
Exactly.
And
And I'm not very privy of like the Sauti So Chrome endorsement. I'm not very privy of what it entails, but from where I stand and from where I see it, I see them doing events, parties, activations. And when I look at the brand Sauti Sol and who their fans are, they're fun people. They like to dance, they're young, they love music. So they're kind of, it's like the brand is doing the type of things Sauti Sol would ordinarily be doing.
So it's a perfect fit.
You know, because even before they were playing like at big concerts, we would be doing like this kind of activations and club events. We were doing that before like Sauti Sol was Sauti Sol. So I feel like with this endorsement, if they are going to be doing what Sauti Sol used to do, I feel it's a perfect match, and they're kind of getting their fans directly, and Sauti Sol don't have to sell their soul or something. So I think it's important for brands and for artists to also pick something that works for them. And I know there are a couple of artists who've been endorsed by alcoholic drinks, and these artists, they don't even drink alcohol, you know. And
so that perfect fit.
You know, and I believe there's so many more artists who maybe would be drinking and would take up those opportunities. So I think don't just pick an artist because it's a top artist and you know he doesn't drink and it's the fourth thing you're endorsing him for and he still doesn't drink. You know, it's like, we know he doesn't drink. Why don't you just pick some other top artist who drinks and will do this job? Like, why are we going to pick only those 4 top artists also? Like,
a quick one, Bien. Promise keeping. How have you been able to maintain? Because how long have you had Chrome? I think 2-3 years.
Actually, it's been 2-3.
3 years.
Yeah, we're ending in March.
How have you maintained?
As of next month, I'm jobless.
Wait, endorse these guys. Endorse these guys, please.
Next
brand.
What I've learned,
these guys.
what I've learned from Chrome actually is the power that artists have. I've seen Chrome go from being, but the Chrome was a new brand. It didn't exist before. And so when they attached our brand to Chrome, nobody knew about it really. But it's been 3 years of working effort, like, you know, a good partnership. It's shown me the power that artists have on one side, and on the other side, it's shown me the power that the corporates have. So the corporates have the product, they have the distribution, they have all of those channels. But the star quality of selling that product lies with the artist. The thing is, it's never going to translate immediately. So, you know, you're finding
it's a long-term investment.
Mazia guy is coming to you, he's like, yo, I have this water product, put a hashtag now, start pushing it now, and then in the evening he's checking sales. And then the next time you meet them in the office, they're like, patiki tu ayuzi. You know,
exactly.
or it's like expecting the effects of Blaze to impact Safaricom's sales immediately. It's not going to happen that way. Something like Blaze has to be done for like 10 years. So that you build like careers and careers from the people who are in the program. That's how you see the impact. So I feel like also for corporates, they need to cut us some slack.
Yes.
And understand that it's not going to happen overnight. It's something that it's going to take time.
It's going to take time.
Sometimes,
strategy.
like it'll be easier. Also, second, I feel like in the boardrooms, the approach needs to change.
Yes.
There's a very traditional approach
Very true.
in marketing stuff that Kenyans have. So I'll give an example of Omo and Pasil and Ariel. Mama, uko na hakika ya kwamba hii ni komosho moja inaweza kutoa madoadoa kwa nguo yako. Kusema tu kweli, if everybody is using the same, you know, approach, then that also becomes a bone of contention because now it loses the flavor of it. So the artists need to become the creative minds behind how those brands are pushed.
Exactly.
Not that it's, you know, I've been put into a room and then I'm meeting Anyiko. Anyiko is going to be doing PR for this thing. Grace is going to be doing media for this thing. Traditional what, and then the artist is just sent for
You're a prop.
already a written like
Script. This is what you're supposed
scripted
to do.
like message.
Exactly.
144 characters on the dot for Twitter. This one is for Instagram. This is how you're going to caption this. The artist needs to become the creatives behind that. Exactly. And we realized that with Chrome. Us guys, we make the hashtags ourselves. We crafted the whole like idea. We were creative directors in how the brand was put out.
So you are part of designing the activation.
Exactly. So from that, Chrome went from being just a spirit to actually one of the highest selling spirits in EABL.
Excellent.
Right now. And that's a good example of an artist like corporate relationship that nobody's ever going to talk about or write about in the nation.
Makofi kwao.
Because Sauti Soul is stuck in Kakamega.
We'll get to that. But that brings me actually, I know again, this is kind of plug-in, but it's really, like this year, my company, we've invested in getting into that whole influencer marketing space. And it's a conversation we had also with Mike Strano, wherever you are, I know you're watching. We had that conversation last year. And we're talking about three things. One is activation design, which is what you're talking about. Even from picking the influencer. Pick the influencer, and if you do not understand, because you need to, for you to be able, and luckily for you guys, you have that mechanism inside. You understand the marketing and you understand the entertainment. So there needs to be like a priest who's marrying the two. So in case you don't have that efficiency within the entertainment brand, and you don't have that efficiency within the corporate, you need an intermediary. And even let me plug in, FAT do an excellent job with that. So corporates out there, talk to FAT, talk to Mawaitha, talk to companies that can help you design. One, pick the right influencer. Two, design the activation well. Three, and most important, is what I call account management. Because here's the thing, you are an artist, you're busy, it's not like because you've taken this endorsement, now you're not going to do performances. So you need someone to manage that relationship. You know, if it is like, you see like what she did for that, for the Obama thing. That is now the logistics. That's called activation design, like on the spot. So you need a logistics person who will say, okay, you guys are going to this place. This will be a good opportunity to sell Chrome or to sell your Nini. How can we get a photographer there, stuff like that, you know. So you need that efficiency, that intermediary to make sure that these activations work. So that by the end of the activation period, one, the artist has grown their brand. Because personally, I believe activation should grow both brands. You should grow the artist brand, and also you should grow the corporate brand. But very quickly, Grace, before we go to Q&A.
I have a question for you as an artist. what he's talking about, do Kenyan artists have that kind of structure where you have a guy for marketing, a guy for PR, a guy to do that when you get activations? Because you don't have time to now think, what are we going to tweet? What are we going, how are we going to shoot a video for this, to post up on Instagram for this week? Do you have that kind of system in your artist management? And is that a popular thing among the Kenyan artists?
So now, I can't speak for all Kenyan artists because people are here also to learn. And some have been through the systems, but they've not been able to maneuver as much as we have been able to. Yeah, there is no blanket way of doing this. What I've said is, as an artist, when you get an endorsement or when you send out, I don't know how it works for you. So I'll give an example of how Sauti does it. Yeah? Okay, you guys, what are you drinking right now? What are you wearing right now? That's where we go look for the endorsement. Right now, Bien Maze, you're a young guy. You're looking to get married maybe. You're looking to have a family. So what's the most appropriate bank to approach so that we make sure that your dreams are guarded and so that it becomes passion entertainment? Passion entertainment is where you and the product are merged with your passions. If we see Polycarp is into fitness, we start to look for a product that's about fitness for Polycarp. So the first way to approach this thing as a musician, as an artist, as a creative, is from the things that you do naturally. So that nothing you ever put out there is, must say you're being made to push a condom, lakini when him say, ama you're being made to push a drink, an alcoholic drink, but maybe your faith doesn't agree. But you have the numbers, you know what I'm saying? So
Passion points.
All of it, this is passion entertainment. It has to come from the passion point of it.
So we need to wrap this up, and that's also that conversation which we had with Mike Strano back. One of the biggest problems, and I think ONGEA next year we need to do like an entire panel on just influencer marketing and how it can be done right. Because more often than not, what happens is a lot of corporates pick an influencer based on their own passion points and not the target audience. So me, I'm a marketing manager. I like BN. Sorry to use you, but I like BN, and this guy is cool. I love his music. But you've not sat down to figure out my audience or my target market for my product. Do they also love BN? So you pick BN and then you're selling a condom or something which he's not passionate about. So one, it's a mismatched product from the get-go. Then the way the activation is designed is mismatched. So at the end of the day, we put in 5, 6, 10, whatever millions we're putting in. And then by the end of the year, when we come down to have those hard conversations of, okay, we spend all this money, where is the ROI? There is none. Then now that creates the perception in the boardrooms, these artists were chana now, wow, they're not a good return again. But there are good examples like the Chrome activation. And for me as a brand marketing professional, I really love how you guys did it. I think you've done an excellent job. And let me say, please, brand, free consultancy, Mawaitha, pick these guys, please. Give them another contract.
Another thing I've always said also is this information is not locked to Sauti. So anybody who has ever approached me or met me on the street and asked me a question, I will answer. We have contacts for our office on our Instagram. If you write us an email, this week alone I've seen like 3 kids who just come, they're starting out their stuff and they're asking questions. So also if you have questions, or if there's a brand that's approached you and you're a bit confused, sometimes an artist can have a brand that's approached them and they don't really know how to go about it. I can also give you free advice, which is just my take usually, which you can also bullshit if you don't feel like it's helping you.
Okay, quick one. Actually, we have 15 minutes before Jemedari comes here and switches off my phone. So I'm going to pick 5 questions, which you answer quickly, alafu tuende. So how do we do it? Do we pick questions and then answer? And what I'll do is I'll pick one person to answer one question. Sasa? Okay. Question, tuende. There's a roving... Who's next? Maybe you can... then we'll go to Chris. Then we'll go back there. Okay? Okay.
My question is in regards to media relations. I'm not in entertainment. I do sport. And I've gotten a chance to work with a bit of artists. And mine is 2BN and maybe Anyiko. I would like to understand why you decide to make use of other space like sport. The Rio Olympics prediction for Supersport, and I've seen you record a kids show for BBC. So I would like to understand, why do you decide to use this space outside entertainment, and how beneficial is it when you do something like sports, for instance, for prediction for sports?
Okay, quick one, Chris. I think let's pick the questions then. Just remember. Okay, fine, quickly.
The reason why, you see, besides being a musician, I'm an AFC Leopards fan. And that naturally means that other AFC Leopards supporters who are my fans will gravitate towards me more if they see that we have more things in common. In Sauti Sol, Polycarp is an Arsenal fan. And so on game day, when we post Arsenal stuff, we just naturally have even my new followers gravitate towards us because they just want to hate. You know? So it's just, it just creates, this kind of vibe where everyone is just laughing and having a good time.
Quick one, Anyiko, answer that. I think he's answered correctly. Oh, he's answered. Excellent. Chris?
Okay, mine is simple. Experts, all of you are experts, all of you are good creatives. We have production people, we have events people like myself. We are all extremely very good in what we do. But the one thing you guys are not talking about, and which has, for me, I think is a key thing, is an attitude problem. What role does an attitude play in all this? Thank you.
Quick one.
Let me answer that one. Like I said, when you're doing research for who will I approach to send my music, you'll be told many no's. You'll be told 1 yes after 15 years. That means all these no's obviously will crush your spirit. Don't get crushed. And don't get a yes and then start saying, at least nime make it, but wasi wengine walikuwa wanasema no. Take that yes and keep being positive. Hapa, nimeona all of you guys think the media is your enemy. If anything, the media is your friend. It complements everything you do. And as much as, yes, sometimes Bien afurahi tukisema amefungiwa huko Kakamega, there are times we also celebrate Bien. Yeah, and there are times we don't celebrate him. And yes, he gets angry, but I like one thing about Bien and other artists we've worked with. They always pick up their phone to give you a comment. That's the attitude. Don't go and turn off your phone, or media kikukola and sema nini, and then you cut the phone. What that does is
media people.
Yes,
these ones.
what that does is you ostracize the media, and then they're like, who you? And then now it becomes like a shouting match. But basically, just be positive. Even if you have to be called for those hard questions, just pick the phone, say, can I call you back later? Then call either Gloria or Anyiko and ask them, what can I say? And then ask them to draft you a text. And that way, that will be sorted. But always have an attitude of learning, open-mindedness. And that's what we media also have to learn, Sijakata. Because as Bien has pointed out, I've realized, yes, sometimes we do go overboard.
Go overboard, it's true.
Yes.
Clickbait.
Clickbait.
That one we do. Quick one.
Okay, let me add on something. Thank you, Chris Kira, for bringing up a very important point. I just want to say that everybody should know that nobody owes you anything. That's the attitude to have. Nobody owes me anything. And then look at the end goal. So what do you want to do? You want to be famous. You want to be on Kiss FM, you want to be known in Tanzania, you want to be known in Uganda. The attitude you should have is nobody will stop me from achieving that. But a lot of the attitude we have from Kenyan artists is like, someone somewhere is stopping me from something. I'm not saying someone is not stopping you, but that should not stop your end goal.
Exactly.
And I will add on another thing. I even had some people bashing me on social media saying, we've been sending you our music, you've not responded. First of all, you're sending the wrong person your music. I'm not on radio. That's what Nkosi said and what Rose said. You need to know who you're sending your music. If you send me your music, usually I'm like, this is a dope song, I give advice, and I might decide to forward it to Kerongo or to Kiss FM, but I'm not the person who's going to make you blow. You know, if you need to contact me, it's for business or for a pro bono work, but I'm not a radio presenter. And even if I was and you send me something and I didn't respond, it doesn't make sense. If I thought of everybody who told me and told Sauti, so you will never have another album like the first Mwanzo. You guys are one-hit wonders. And you had a very bad EP, and why did you have an EP produced by a South African? If I had to write down the list of all the people who told her, we'll never make it, we'll never have another dope record. And if I had to not go back to them, then Sauti Sol would never be where they are today. We went back to the same people who turned us back until they called us and said, now we want to do a full spread feature. So I'm just saying, don't give up. Excellent. Do not give up.
So when you get a bump in the road, don't park your car, keep driving. Let's have someone, a lady back there. Okay, kuna mtu pale ameinua mkono sana.
Thank you. I also do PR and I'm happy to be here. My first question is, how do songwriters market themselves? And then my major question is, how do people who do alternative music survive on this industry? Because, you know, most music played is conventional or mainstream. The music people love, and that's mostly Afropop, reggae, and all that kind of music. But mine is rock or soul. And I know so many artists who had to transform from singing rock or pop to singing rock or maybe soul to singing something that people love. And how do you do a video without having to show off some weird parts that people do on TV, and then people get to like it? Because if you find even a PR person, I have so many friends who would help me on Instagram to get somewhere, but they have to make me either look too sexy or I have to overshow my body just for people to like me and to like my music. And most of my music is emotional, so I can't quite start showing my body, and I'm talking about maybe depression or sad issues and all that. So how do I survive?
So I'll have Bien and Nkosi do that, because I think Bien...
I can speak for songwriting. Can I be honest, man? I've written so many songs. I've never been marketed, never been paid. But the other day I got a very unique chance. I went to Germany to songwrite for some German artists who are looking for an African flavor in their albums for Universal Germany, and I learned how to structure it. So the first thing I realized is we don't even have Kenya Songwriters Association. Whoa. Imagine, nobody has even ever thought, and everybody in here, by virtue that you write your own songs, you're a songwriter. So safely, I went to register it. So Kenya Songwriters Association and Songwriters Association of Kenya has been registered. But now that those things have been registered, they're associations. They're not my companies. So I'm going to be putting out a call for songwriters to register. For starters, what we need to do is just make sure that our split sheets are in order. Exactly. Like, if we have our paperwork in order, it's a policy thing. If we get our paperwork in order and we have a good database of our split sheets, then we'll be able to start to make revenue from it. As a marketing tool, yo, man, you just have to write dope songs and reach out to people who you feel like they suit. Sometimes if you write a song and you feel like it suits Sauti Sol, if you send it to me, I'm going to listen to it. I always make sure that I listen to everything that musicians send to me. So yeah, man, that's the only way you can do it.
Very quick, Nkosi, and then we'll pick a question.
To answer your question,
we'll pick a question from this side, so please, have to be balanced, Atuna time mingi. So let's pick at the back there. Let's pick a question from this side. Another question from this side, or none? Okay, fine. From this side, who? Why? Okay.
Can I just quickly answer the...
Yes. So you'll quickly question and then we move on.
With regards to sort of if you're playing in the independent alternative music space, like the one thing that I always tell people is that like if you have a product, a brand, or a business, like you can never say everybody's your target market, you know? So you have to know if you're doing very, you know, like left field stuff that's not like, you know, fit for the mainstream space, there's always platforms and avenues for you to sort of like, you know, share that content and music to your audience. Like, I mean, you can think of like an Afro-punk, you know what I mean? Like Afro-punk does very left field. It's not like stuff that you would see in like, you know, your big mainstream platforms. And in South Africa, we also have, like, I run a platform that's specifically for alternative and independent artists and that are not really, you know, playing in that space. So there's always platforms. And also, you are allowed to look outside of your borders as well. You can contact Nigerian media. You can find, like, those platforms. You can contact South African media like me and, like, you know what I mean? Even American, because, like, there is an interest. There are subcultures that are very different from, you know, mass, sort of the mass audience. Yeah, so there's always like an avenue for you. You just need to, you know, make that initiative and just contact, find them, find each other online as well, yeah.
Okay, so quick one. This is what we'll do. Where are the hands? Okay, person with the mic. please note the hands. We'll just quickly pick all the questions, and then I'll assign each person a question, because some questions are also kind of like the same. Then we move on. So, person with the mic, make sure the next person is ready. Okay, Jemedari, yes.
So, habari zenu? Yes, I represent regional artists from Meru largely, and we've actually tried to get endorsements. And I would like to hear from you, what is it that you're not doing right, so that my artist from Meru can actually get an endorsement, maybe for a brand that is nationally known, specifically to target the region that the artist probably is bigger in, maybe not competing with Sauti Sol, but in Meru, when you play a Meru crew,
in your market segment.
Know. Yes.
Excellent. So, Bian, remember that question quickly.
My name's Francis PDF. I'm an artist, and I have a movement from Eastlands. We are trying to create our own platforms, and the way I've listened to you guys, vile mnasema, yani the media cannot change. Kuna wazai wako huko wenye au accept the culture that is coming from my youths wa sai. And so, since it's so difficult, and the youths are almost giving up, but they are trying, what options? Like kitambo kulikuwa na hizo F2, hizo open mic.
Jump times, open mic.
Hizo open mic sasa.
Excellent.
Na zilikuwa zinaleta wasanii. Zinawapatia ile motisha, wana vibe, wanakutana. But sahi hakuna.
Okay.
So we have
what's the way forward basically?
Yeah, way forward.
So Rose, kumbuke hiyo swali. Next, please. Guys, we have 2 minutes before Jemedari switches off my microphone.
My name is Martin. I'm a podcaster.
Okay.
So my question is towards specifically the guy from SA and also to you, Mawaitha.
Okay.
So what is the disconnect in endorsement deals in Kenya and say South Africa? Because at face value here in Kenya, find most endorsement deals go to maybe beverage companies and maybe betting companies in a get. So if you go to SA, you can find an underground artist, say with maybe even less than 10,000 followers, is endorsed by a big fashion brand.
By a big fashion brand,
Yeah.
excellent.
So is it that the brand managers, you guys, from the artist sides, are not pushing different ways to market brands?
Okay.
Like say automobiles, food and electronics? Or is it that the corporations are ready to try unconventional approaches in marketing through artists?
Excellent.
Okay.
Aya. One last question to Madam Jackie.
Yeah, mine is a quick one.
Huh?
I wanted to...
So it's working.
Mine is a quick one. I wanted to know if, my understanding is you have 2 associations. I think you have KEJA, which represents the entertainment journalists, and I almost wish you had a blogger on the panel to represent the Bloggers Association. I want to know...
This one is a blogger. Mupasho ndio hawa.
I also have a blog as well.
Anyiko is a blogger. Yeah. I'm also a blogger. Uki Google mimi utaona mimi huko.
I find that several bloggers do not write professional articles. They tend to write opinionated as opposed to researched and factual and fairly objective.
So, excellent. So Grace will pick that. So quickly.
That being said, I wanted to know if there is an effort to make relationships with the artists. Myself as a DJ, I find it a pet peeve when someone just sends me their link, disappears for 2 months, sends me another link, disappears for 2 months, rather than forming a relationship so that I can understand their brand and how to push it and which DJs to push it to. Okay. So I'm wondering if the 2 associations make an effort to, or even the artists make an effort to connect with you, and vice versa.
So very quickly, Bian, we start with the gentleman who was asking about Meru.
From America, but they're my peoples. When we were doing our Chrome tour, I think they opened for us in Meru, and we've met them before, and so we're doing Safaricom Live as well. And so all I can say about that, I feel like, first of all, with the Meru crew is the story hasn't been told well. You know, I haven't really, I've listened to the music, but I feel like you guys need to have a PR strategy, first of all, on how you build and tell the Meru crew story. And then I'd also want to check into your demographic and put yourselves in the shoes of the corporates that you're expecting to get endorsements from. Because maybe you guys are not their target for the companies you're going for. Maybe if you go for like a Mira juice company, that will be like phenomenal.
There's even Mira wine.
Yeah, so like look within yourselves, look at the activities that you do, the philosophy that you're selling, and then approach like-minded products.
So do your homework.
Yeah, that, and then also like the American story must first of all just be told and be understood. Because if someone doesn't know American, I don't know what you guys stand for, man. You can jaba kila siku saa tisa. As in, there's a philosophy that I have to be attracted to first of all. Then I will, I feel like I'll jump on board as a fan, and then that will in turn come with other corporate things.
Excellent. So there was a question about basically what's the way forward. The old guards and the newsroom is set in a certain way. What's the way forward?
Was that the question or? Yeah. Oh, the platforms, cool. I think the way forward is we must always look at ourselves as if we are the ones in charge of the moment, the now, and it is your responsibility and mine to create these platforms. So you rightfully state that we don't have it was what, jam session days, those in the days, and what do we have now? I will tell you what we have now, and I'm sure there's some stuff that is out there now that I don't know about. So for instance, right now what's happening in Nairobi is the live music circuit is really popping. If you're playing live music and you're not, and that's also for you, the lady who said she does alternative music, and you're not necessarily what get played on radio, you have an opportunity to perform on live platforms more than was the case 7 years ago. Like when we were starting out with Sauti, so we had to set up our own events because there was no event that you could just come and start to play, So right now there's something like Jamhuri events. They have Jamhuri sessions and they have Jamhuri festival. They are sometimes at Nyama Mama, but they usually go to other restaurants. It would be good to check out Jamhuri events on social media and see what they're doing, because I'm made to understand that at the Jamhuri events, they're booking agents who come, media professionals, and a lot of artists have been discovered there even to be signed through that platform. So it would be good to join that. And then I think that's what I wanted to say.
I wanted to add, though, about what you said about the media not changing. They're never going to change. The guy who is there is a guy who is now in his 60s, who has worked hard all his life to get to that point. You either make yourself relevant to that person, or you just go on social media and do your thing. Akina Ethic, I was saying you're the best example, because nobody would play Ethic as is, but the demand from the streets has been created by Ethic themselves.
So create your own
The
demand.
power is in your hands.
Create your own publicity.
You're the one who's going to create it.
And
Wapi
by-
makofi
and by
yake?
the way-
Makofi wapi yake?
And by the way,
very quickly.
the Jamhuri events started in Eastlands at K-South.
K-South.
Yeah, and they started as a block party, and then they started a community job. Like they were just collecting trash, and then at the end of the day doing a small concert. And from K-South, from Eastlands to one of the most respected platforms of to date. Even you can also check out Thursday Night Live. So those are just some platforms I can recommend for now.
The next question, I think, is one which you asked for Mawaitha and Nkosi, South African perspective, right? Yeah. 3 things very quickly. The biggest problem we have with influencer marketing and endorsements in general. One is influencer selection, selecting the wrong influencer based on like what BN was talking about. Don't pick based on your passion point. Do your research, figure out what's the passion point of your audience. 2, how does your brand, the corporate brand, relate to the entertainment brand? The second thing is what I call activation design. Again, BN also touched on that. How do you design, okay, fine, this is Maya's. How does this product, how does this brand, how can we activate it in an organic way that doesn't look, people are skipping adverts right now, right? So how can we infuse this in a way? Are we going to use product placement? You've seen how Infinix have done product placement with some of their digital. It's a video, Jugush is doing a video, and it's just subliminal messaging. So how do we create activations that don't look cheesy? You get something that's natural, like now, if you are DSTV and you want to give Sauti Soul, and this is now free consultancy. Give DSTV, give these people whatever, give these people an endorsement, because Supersport, one of the biggest reasons why people buy DSTV is because of sports. And these guys are an entertainment brand, and they are popular, and they are fun. So just You get, that's how you, so you create now an activation. So the second is activation design. The third thing is what I call account management. After you've given these people the endorsements, these guys have other things which they're doing. How do you do the logistics of it? How do you manage that logistics of, there's an activation, money has been poured, the checks have been signed. How do you manage that activation? And that's what I'm talking of, account management. So the solution is this. We need someone who does those three things. It can either be an external person like Mawaitha, or it can be someone internal within the company, or it can be someone internal within the entertainment brand. But at the end of the day, we need an agency, an intermediary that is doing those three things. Otherwise, we won't have an ROI.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how, sort of like the brand, on the brand side, how things are done in Kenya, but when it comes to influencers and, like people of public interest, there's normally, from an agency or advertising agency perspective, there's normally like a criteria. There's micro influencers that probably have between 5,000 and 10,000 followers on social media. Then there's macro, and then celebrities. So I think most of the time, what when a brand sort of like hits you up and wants to work with you, depending on what they want to achieve. So they have specific KPIs, you know what I mean, like that they need to achieve, or they want to engage an audience that you have access to, but they don't have the tools. So because of your content and your brand and what you've built, you've attracted a certain crowd. So they don't have, a lot of the brands are very clueless when it comes to, engaging with people, and artists and creatives are the best equipped to do that. So when they come to you, understand that you have a lot of value in what you offer. So you have to also be firm and understand why they come to you. So when you are sort of engaging with a brand, understand that you are a partner and not just, like a sidekick or whatever. So understand, exactly. So understand that what you as a brand stand for, and then you will know how you want to be aligned with a particular brand. So understand, like your different levels, So there's a brand, Valentine's does this very well in South Africa. They support the underground sort of house music scene, and that's their focus. They're not supporting hip-hop, which is like one of the biggest genres right now. They're supporting the underground, you know what I mean? So clearly they're seeing something there that is of interest to them and is aligned to what they're trying to sort of communicate to consumers. So that's probably why, from the brand side, a brand is probably going to hit you up and say, yo, we want to partner with you. You have something or access to an audience that they want to sort of speak to. Yeah.
One thing that I learned actually this week is a lot of these big brands are moving all of their budget from traditional media to the digital space. So all the power is on the digital space.
Exactly.
Like if you look at how EABL would traditionally do a big Tusker ad with lorries and lorries that costs, or Safaricom ad that costs like 200 million shillings. They're now just doing small activations with Jugush and everybody else, and they're distributing that cash, which means everybody in this room can eat, and the cake still won't get finished.
Very quickly, Grace, tackle the issue of bloggers. Bloggers, where are they writing funny things?
This was a question from DJ Shock. So, bloggers, online has become, it's like a wild, wild west. Anyone can get in. Even you can be a blogger. Anyone. I think there's legislation coming up that will curb the red line, the bloggers from crossing the red line. And we've seen several bloggers getting, sued for what they've written. Most media houses are also moving into the digital space. So essentially they're becoming bloggers as well. But the beauty of media houses going into the media space is they're still taking the journalistic ethics onto the online space. But that is not enough, because since already the barriers of entries are very low, anyone can get in and still defame you online, and it goes viral. So I think that will be a case for legislation, because I think even politicians are having it rough. And since they have the powers, they have the power to change the legislation, maybe they'll do that.
Excellent. So I am almost 11 minutes behind. So this is what I want to do. We'll start from there, closing remark, and sell yourself.
My closing remarks is, guys, the darkest hour is before dawn. Guys, we are just about to break this thing for this generation. I understand there's so much responsibility even for myself. So I'm giving my heart, but I'm also saying on the 25th, in cooperation with Anyiko PR, Sauti Entertainment is going to be launching our first artist. So when the first artist gets out, I'm asking for your support. But at the same time, I can only do my part. Anybody here can say and do their part. What we really need to fight for, the real animal we need to fight, is policy. If we just get 60% airplay of our music, because also, you know what, I'm a big fan of Bongo Flava, man. I'm a big fan of Niger songs. If we can get our 60% and feed it diligently, we'll be fine. So I'm just telling you guys to please be encouraged. This thing is about to work for all of us. Thank you.
Nkosi?
As a closing comment, I think I would say, like, from what I know, is that Kenya has, like, probably the highest, smartphone and internet penetration in Africa. So that is in itself dope. So it really shows you and tells you that, like, if you, like, there's audiences, people that are ready to receive your content. So, go-to-market strategy, always have digital. Like, that's where you're going to find it. Your country has already, like, one of the dopest and best, like, the internet is fast, like, all the technology is here. So use your digital platforms, your social media to build the communities that you want to build and connect with your people. And for a lot of these things, it's very, you know what I mean? Like, obviously there's gatekeepers here and there in traditional media, but there's no gatekeepers on the internet. So that's where you can build your communities and, build your leverage as well. So I think that's the main thing. I'm very pro-internet and pro-digital, so I think that's where the barriers of entry are very low. You can do what you want. Obviously, make sure that it's brand safe. And if you want to attract the attention of brands, understand how they move, what they need, what they struggle with, their advantages, and what you are offering. And, I mean, I don't think you would go wrong with that approach.
Gloria?
First and foremost, I'd like to say thanks to Anyiko. She was my mentor, and she's actually inspired me to start my own PR company. And as for the artists, what I would like to tell you is, reach out to us. We are not animals, and we're always here to help you. If you need any help, just send me a DM on Instagram or even Twitter. I'm always ready to answer. Sometimes I get people who tell me, I want to be on 10 over 10. But when you listen to the song, you're like, you can't be on 10 over 10, So sometimes it's just you reaching out. And when someone advises you, take that advice, go back home, go back to the drawing board, and then just push.
Keep pushing.
Don't give up.
Don't give up. Grace?
As an artist, for people to recognize you, you need a brand. And for you to build a brand, you need to know yourself. How self-aware are you? Because if you don't have a brand and then you make it, you'll get lost in the middle of all that because you didn't have a foundation of understanding who you are. And like the guy from Meru was asking, how can we sell ourselves? Like Bian said, use your passion project. Like, make it a passion project. Make your passion marry with what you want to sell. That way it will be organic online and it will be easy to sell, and realness sells easily. And there's a lady who said about doing rock, alternative artists. That's okay. Don't change yourself. That's who you are. What you do, create your own community. Get people to like your music. Go to places where people appreciate your music. Before long, everyone will appreciate it. When jazz started out, everyone was like, what is that? But now everyone, if you listen to jazz, you become a fan, not because someone told you to love jazz, but because of what jazz is. So don't change yourself. You don't have to be sexy. Charlie Chaplin, Tracy Chaplin is not sexy and everyone listens to her song. Just be you, be authentic to your brand.
And you'll attract your tribe. Be you and you'll attract your tribe. Hi, Anyiko.
Okay, for me, I just want to thank ONGEA Summit for inviting me, and I think for hosting this summit. I believe this is one of the best summits in Kenya, and even before I was invited last year and this year to talk, I always used to come here to discover new artists, to buy new albums, and thank you all for coming. It's a Sunday, but this place is full. It shows me that you guys are taking the music and entertainment industry very seriously, and I think that's the beginning. It starts with us having your presence. I think that's all I have to say. Just maybe follow our social media platforms, Anyiko PR, and we're doing a lot of work. And right now we are very excited because we're working with Sauti Entertainment, and we'll be releasing a whole new set of artists signed by Sauti 25th of February. And then my team and I also launched our event series this year. We've been working on this for a whole year, and it was very difficult. You know how it is when you're starting a new thing. So we have an event called Artist Talk Back, and we're going to be hosting it every 2 months. We already did the first edition, I think a week ago, and it was cool. So, I mean, just follow and always reach out, like Gloria says, and I'm also proud of you, Gloria. You know, we worked together for only, I don't know, a couple of months, and she already went on and started her own company. That's the seriousness we need in this industry. So I like when someone like Bien contacts me and is like, have you checked out this new artist called BV? Book him on 10 over 10. And I'm like, okay, Bien has said. And BV is not a Bien artist, but he goes out of his way and tells me, like, check this out, do this. So please, if you're in this room and you want me to help with anything, let me know. If you need 5 contacts, I'll give you. I can't give you my entire contact list, or I can't book a media tour for you, but I will do 1 or 2 things for you. So don't ever feel like we're not approachable. We are, but I'm very bad with the inboxes and DMs. Just go and call. There's a number for the office. Just call me. And thanks.
Rose?
Okay, as a writer and editor, this is what I'm going to need from all artists who write in to and want their songs or their videos reviewed. First, send good photos, high-resolution photos. Don't send me to your Facebook. I don't have that time. And Facebook photos are, the resolution is very low. If I blow it up on the paper, it just pixelates and the photo looks pathetic. Get a media kit. If you don't know what a media kit is, Google. Find something. If you can't hire Anyiko or Gloria to do a media kit for you, just do it yourself.
Or your friend who's
Google.
doing communication.
Yeah, just do your homework, do your stuff. So send me, when you're sending your videos or your do me good photos and do me a good media kit and have contacts that I can reach you back on. And in the event that I call you back and I tell you that I can't do you a review, there are very many other things we can do besides reviews. We can do photo shoots for fashion pages, we can do stories, we can do very many other things on paper, on print. So have an open mind while at it. If your idea doesn't work, be open to other ideas that I offer. Yeah.
Why do artists miss out on big money? Is there big money? Yes. Personal experience, this week I'm signing 3 big contracts. I can't talk about them yet, but I'm signing 3 big contracts with very big brands, very notable brands. So there is money to be made, okay? But for you to get to that money, you need the services that these people provide, okay? But you may not be able to afford their services. So learn what they do, and in your own small way, okay? Create that efficiency. Sawa. Like what, and by the way, when you do that, literally you create an industry. You can see what these guys did, okay? They came together. Artists who's trying to come up, journalists who's also trying to come up. They came together, they've created a cartel, so to speak. Umetengeneza cartel, sawa. And they have built an efficiency that has actually now become 2 huge companies, and I can assure you that one is going to be a big thing. Sawa. So, guys, don't sit and complain. Do the same. Okay. You may not be able to afford me. I do pro bono. I may not be able to get to everybody. Okay, but as Mawaitha and as Mawaitha PR, I'm promising this year I don't even know I'm going to get the time, but we are doing more pro bono stuff, and I've already picked a few guys, and we'll be making those announcements later. If you don't hear about it, then clearly I'm not a good publicist. But you will hear about it. So, but the thing is, guys, there is need for what these guys do. So please create that efficiency. And we are done. Drops mic.
Thank you.
All right, Sante sana, Sante sana. Always a pleasure having you guys. I will ask you to come to the forward side of the stage for a group photo. As we get ready to dive into the next session. As an artist, as a producer, as a content producer, do you have what it takes? Do you have what it takes to perform at a big show? Do you have what it takes to at a... And what we have 4 panelists who represent different festivals around the world. So we have Sim, all the way from Brazil, Tandawazi, Kenya, Jacaranda from Zimbabwe, Live at Heart, Sweden. And we have representatives from each and every one of these festivals